Hello children, welcome to the geography class. So in this chapter, we shall discuss about the remaining part of the fourth chapter, Earth structure. In the last class, we had discussed about the structure of the Earth, chemical compositions and internal composition. In this session, we shall discuss about the three concentric layers, that is core, mantle, crust, and its meaning, extent and their composition. So let's start with crust. The crust is the outermost solid layer of the earth, and it is also known as lithosphere or rocky crust. The word lithosphere has been taken from a Greek word lithos, which means rocks or stones. The crust is only 1% of Earth's mass and contains all known life in the universe. It is a relatively thin layer of rocks with a thickness of 60 km below high mountains and just 5 to 10 km below the oceans. Considering the average radius of the Earth, which is about 6,378 km, the crust is a relatively thin layer. The temperature of the uppermost part of the oceanic crust has been estimated at 0 degrees Celsius, but it gradually starts rising towards the interior. The weight and the pressure of the rocks also start increasing with the depth. That means the crust is made up of many kinds of rocks, and the density of rocks increases with an increase in the depth. The Earth comprises two parts. The upper part is the continental crust and the lower part is the oceanic crust. The upper continental layer is lighter because it consists of silicates and aluminium. The lower part or the lower layer is dense because it consists of silicates and magnesium. The outer crust has valuable soils and provides us with most of the minerals. Now let's discuss about Moho discontinuity. The first realization of distinct layer of the earth was discovered by Andrija Mohorovičić in 1909. He was a Yugoslavian scientist and meteorologist. He was the first one to notice in 1909 when there was an earthquake, and he discovered the discontinuity between the crust and the mantle. Later, it was known as Moho Discontinuity. It forms the boundary between the crust and the mantle. Like the crust, it does not exist at a uniform depth. It is found at about 8 km beneath the oceans and about 32 km beneath the continent. That means to say, if you drill 8 km into the oceanic bed, probably you will touch the next layer of the earth, which is upper mantle. Similarly, if you drill continental crust, it will take around 32 km to reach the upper mantle. Again, the thickness varies. Next is, it has the characteristics of both crust and mantle because it lies between crust and mantle. Earth's second layer is mantle. This layer is found below the crust. It lies between the crust and the core. The mantle is a very thick layer and extends up to an average depth of about 2,900 km and makes up 84% of the Earth's total volume. The mantle is divided into two parts, that is upper mantle and lower mantle. The upper mantle extends from Moho Discontinuity to a depth of 700 km. At the depth of 100 to 410 km, the mantle is in partially molten form. It is also known as asthenosphere. Asthon means weak. The lower mantle extends from 700 km to 2,900 km, and it is known as mesosphere. The lower mantle is solid due to high pressure. The lower mantle is hotter and denser than the upper mantle. As the pressure increases towards the interior of the earth, the density also increases. The temperature varies between about 1000 degrees Celsius to around 3000 degrees Celsius. Now let's discuss about Gutenbergs discontinuity. The boundary between mantle and the core, or the mantle-core interface, is known as the Gutenbergs discontinuity. It begins at the depth of 2800 km. Here, there is an abrupt change in the seismic waves. Primary seismic waves decreases in velocity, while secondary seismic waves disappears completely. It is dense due to a greater percentage of iron. Now let's discuss about the core. The core lies below the mantle and it is around the center of the earth. It is also called as barosphere, which means heavy metallic rocks. It is the most inaccessible and densest part of the earth, which lies at the center of the earth. The boundary between the mantle and the core is called as Gutenberg discontinuity. It is divided into outer core and inner core. The entire core is about 7000 km in diameter. The temperature ranges from about 4400 to about 6000 degrees Celsius. It is composed of nickel and iron. The presence of heavy metals and iron may be responsible for Earth's magnetism. The inner core is firm and solid due to heavy pressure, whereas the outer layer is in the molten state. The secondary waves disappear in the outer core because secondary waves do not pass through liquids. So children, here I complete your 4th chapter. If you have any doubt, feel free to ask. Thank you.